Let's go to the west coast of the U.S. and speak to Hatem Bazian, Professor of Middle Eastern Cultures and Languages at the University of California, Berkeley. Professor, thank you for your time. I'm going to be controversial to start with. Is this a president who's driving a Judeo-Christian religious political philosophy, getting together with a Zionist and deciding on the future of Palestinians?
It's precisely the case. We need to say that this is an Israeli plan that is dressed up in an American garb, fulfilling evangelical U.S. foreign policy without really thinking through or consulting actually the Palestinians, who is their land, their future, and they're witnessing the genocide, and none of those matters are being addressed. So literally, it's the fulfillment of a Judeo-Christian, Christian Zionism with Jewish Zionism, pushing its plan forward. And unfortunately, some Arab Muslim cover for it. I do think the number of Arab countries are going to participate, or at least indicating their readiness to cooperate on the security front.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, about the fact that the plan will need a lot of regional cooperation. How do you see that working in terms of what we understand? Because one of the important things is that we don't know the details of the details.
Well, I think in here, Jordan and Egypt are going to play a major role since they have been playing a major role with cooperation with Israel for quite some time. We already heard Trump actually praising Egypt's role even before the implementation of this plan. So Israel will get almost everything that it wants without conceding on any single point other than releasing some Palestinian prisoners and withdrawing from certain areas in staged withdrawal. So we really don't see an end to Israel domination control. I think the notions of a two-state solution, anyone that still talks in the guise of two-state solution after the destruction and annexation of a large swath of land in the West Bank, I think they're just operating in from two different understanding of what is taking place on the ground. Israel, for all intensive purposes, have already annexed area B and C in the West Bank, and also encroaching in many of the main areas of A, which is subject to the Palestinian Authority. So the fact that Trump is saying he's not going to allow annexation is really meaningless, because what we need to look is what is taking place on the ground in the West Bank. Area B and C is totally have been annexed, subject to daily assaults by the settlers. And then Gaza, all the issues pertaining to Gaza is left unaddressed, which exactly what Netanyahu wants. He wants a peace or a proposal, an American peace proposal that maintains the status quo and Israel's ability to continue its policy, which is now is full genocide, to move possibly into a slow, methodical genocide in Gaza. And I think that's what we are looking at with this American proposal.
Well, apparently after being at the White House, Benjamin Netanyahu gave an interview and said that the Israeli military will never withdraw from Gaza. And we know that the plan envisages a freezing of the front lines as soon as Hamas agrees to the ceasefire, and then the gradual withdrawal of Israeli troops. According to Donald Trump's plan, the issue now becomes whether Trump and Netanyahu believe that actually Gaza has been turned almost into Aleppo. You remember a few years ago when the Russians and the Syrians bombed Aleppo so intensely that the rebels had to withdraw, saying that if we don't withdraw, they are going to kill everybody here. Hamas may, Professor, be in the situation now, even if they don't want to accept, they almost have to because of how many civilians are being killed.
I don't know what their decisions will be, and we will see within at least the next 72 hours. And nobody can actually take issue with their decision because they're looking at an actual genocide. Interestingly, today, the UK Labour Party membership voted to recognize what is taking place in the Gaza Strip as a genocide and calling for a sanctioned and arms embargo on Israel. So while we are actually witnessing a shift in the UK political dynamics relative to Gaza, we're seeing that the United States is almost rewarding Israel and wanting to maintain the upper hand for Netanyahu. The other thing, the introduction of Tony Blair on the scene. Now, Tony Blair is being funded by Larry Ellison. Tony Blair, by the British Parliament, was actually found to be responsible for the debacle that came to be the disaster in Iraq. And that's why he lost much of his political credentials. Nobody in the UK actually listens to him. But it seems that failure in the UK can actually make you into success once you go into the colonies. And that's what Gaza right now is being fought as another colonial enterprise, that you send a failed British politicians to possibly affirm and clean up his credentials by acting as a new, possibly a new mandate authority on the scene. It's just laughable if it's not actually too serious that people are discussing that Tony Blair will be actually governing or overseeing Gaza. The only thing that Tony Blair should be seeing should be a jail cell if actually international law needs to be implemented, and a real accounting of the disaster and almost 1.5 million Iraqis that have been killed out of complete bogus causality between Tony Blair and George Bush.
Absolutely. Many people are raising an eyebrow about Tony Blair's involvement. Professor Hatem Bazian, thank you as always.